And it's a pleasure. And we are here to learn all about anime because I, for one, don't know much at all. And so first of all, just tell us what you're doing here, what your role is, and your store here.
Today, I'm really very much just visiting the event. I'm documenting it on our social media channels. I'm just being a presence here, talking to loads of the fans, finding out what they want in terms of anime releases, talking to them about what we've done. Just a whole variety of stuff, just taking in the day. And also, for those of you who have been in and around, the Gundam Mad / manga booth on the far side that way, which for everyone at home, I appreciate you can't see that, that's fine. But if you go over there, you can buy tons of anime releases today. And that's also where I've been hanging out a bit today, just talking to lots of people.
And so you're here with alltheanime.com.
I am
so
indeed.
Can you tell us who they are and what they sell?
Indeed, alltheanime.com, that's very much our brand name is one way to put it. Our releases are under the All the Anime umbrella, but our main company name is Anime Limited. It was founded by Andrew Partridge, who's been quite the figurehead in the world of anime in the UK scene. He's done lots of theatrical screenings. He's brought many titles to the UK prior to him starting Anime Limited. He was with Bees Entertainment, as some of you may know. And what we like to do at Anime Limited is we like to bring what I like to phrase as a premium product that a UK fan or a UK collector can add to their collection. Being a giant anime fan myself for far too long now, I dare not say how long it's been, you see photos online from Japan of the premium style releases that they bring out. They have these giant, elaborate box sets, ridiculous amounts of extra stuff with them, and you just really, really want them at some point. But they're far too much money, you can't really get hold of them, and even if you did, more than likely they're just entirely in Japanese, which, for someone like myself, does not help, because I don't speak Japanese. So what we like to do is, we like to create releases with that premium feel to it. And we like to try and add something extra where we can. So, for example, we have different tiers of releases, if you will. We have our standard DVDs and Blu-rays, which we know a large number of people, that's simply what they want. But there are some people who want a bit more. So what we do is we bring out titles with very rigid packaging, I'll phrase it. We have a rigid case around the actual product itself. We then have a fold-out digipack containing discs or disc, whichever one it ends up being, and we try and put some extra things in there as well. We really like to try and put in books and booklets in there, containing lots of information. It may be about the actual content itself, or it may be interviews with the staff involved from Japan, or who knows what else. The possibilities are endless, but we like to try and do that at an affordable price as possible for UK fans.
Fantastic. So there's obviously a lot there for people who are really into anime, but for the novices out there, people who are just learning about the genre, can you describe a little bit about what actually anime is and how that's different to sort of things like US cartoons?
The really, really simple way to sum it up is that anime is animation created in Japan. That is first and foremost the main difference. When it comes to genres and such, really, you will find similar things like you find in US cartoons. They cover all different forms of stories. It can be action-packed, it can be a romantic storytelling. Heck, it can even just be a laugh-out-loud comedy. You get all sorts of weird, wonderful, and wacky things in anime, and really, anyone can give it a try, just like they can with any other programming.
And so, can you tell us maybe about a couple of the sort of popular films, popular series within anime?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just from a UK perspective in general, I'm sure a lot of people here probably have seen Dragon Ball Z, most likely on Cartoon Network when it was airing in the UK a long time ago. There are many others. Gundam Wing was another big one, which is part of a massive, massive franchise. That's a whole other kettle of fish. When it comes to Anime Limited titles specifically, there are shows like Kill la Kill, which is really action-packed. I love that show so much. It's got such great comedy, action. Its intensity is ridiculous, but at the same time, it is a visual treat and something that really everyone should check out if they can. There are so many others. At Sword Art Online 2, we actually are releasing the second season currently of that. And you go, oh, look at that. There you go. We're actually releasing the second season of that, and we're doing a collector's style release for that as well. And there are so many others. Cowboy Bebop, that's another one I need to point out, because for many people, that was a gateway anime into discovering anime, and so Cowboy Bebop is definitely one that people can definitely check out if they have no prior knowledge.
So in terms of gateway animes, are there sort of ones that you recommend for people?
It's really interesting, this sort of question, because the thing I like to ask back is, what sorts of programs or films do you like? It's something that I do a lot when I'm at events or I'm on the social media accounts, because I'm also the social media manager very much for Anime Limited. And so I like to ask people, what do they like to watch? And let's just say, for example, if someone says superheroes or something like that, the Arrow, Flash, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that kind of thing. The one that comes to mind first and foremost is, if you like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you'll probably really like Cowboy Bebop. It's about bounty hunters in space. It's very episodic, but there is a theme that runs throughout. Very similar to Space Dandy, which, as it actually says at the beginning of the show, is about a dandy guy in space. And
Sounds a bit Firefly.
I know, right? And he goes around with a robot that's a cleaning robot, and he has like a thing that looks like a cat, but is not a cat. And the way I actually describe it very much is, it's almost like the Red Dwarf of anime, because it's literally that funny. It's such good fun, Space Dandy. If you've not checked it out before and you've not seen anime before, that's another one that's a great starting point.
I think that's going to be one for me, I think.
There you go.
And in terms of sort of talking about the different things, the different themes, where do they come from? How do, are they from books? Are they from sort of comics?
Anime is a very interesting thing for that, because I'll say, for the sake of arguments here, because I'm sure people online who are watching this may disagree in some way, but 9 times out of 10, in my opinion, anime comes from the graphic novel version, which in our circle is called the manga. That's how it's referred to in Japan. And it's usually the manga that is adapted into an anime, but there are exceptions to that rule. There are some original concepts that are brought forward. Kill la Kill, which I mentioned a few minutes ago, if memory serves, that was actually an anime before a manga, and so the manga was getting published after the show had aired. And it's a very unique experience when you get to watch an anime in that order, or experience the franchise in that order, because for many people, they will have read the manga and then watch the anime adaptation to see how well they did, or maybe in some cases, in people's opinions, didn't do.
And has the popularity been growing in the UK and in Europe for the Japanese animation, and what have you thought about that?
Anime is a very weird animal, as I like to describe it. If you're a fan, you are a fan. You are in. Speaking as someone who, my first exposure to anime, slight tangent here, but bear with me, was, going to date myself now, 1992 in my junior school, my first exposure to anime was a Japanese Dragon Ball Z trading card. That's the first time I ever encountered anything like manga and anime, and that was when I could find virtually nothing. But nowadays, as technology has evolved, you can experience and find anime a lot easier. It's not just DVDs and Blu-rays, there are also places like Crunchyroll.com, for example, where they are actually legally streaming anime as they're airing in Japan, but with subtitles. And in some cases, they even actually get dubbed at the same time. Like Space Dandy is what I phrase as a simul-dub, as opposed to a simulcast, where it actually got dubbed at the same time as it was airing in Japan.
Wow, so sort of real-time translators on that.
Yeah, literally.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And it's awesome, and when it comes to anime fans in general, I'm going to say we, because I am one, we are a very hardcore community. We are very passionate about what we like, what we don't like, what we want. And it's really, really cool to be a part of a community like that, and also to give back in a different way. Because I'm sure many people out there would love to be able to work for an anime company, and there are so many things behind the scenes I would never have thought could have even been conceived or would be a factor, but it's amazing just how much hard work and effort goes into bringing any anime title out there.
So some really random jobs in the anime industry, is there?
Yeah, well, it's like, for example, in the case of my job, one of my variety of roles is I actually QC, quality control, some of our releases. So I actually watch the releases and make sure that things are working and the subtitles are displaying correctly, because sometimes there could be random glitches and you never know. And being able to do that, knowing that this is a product I would buy and I'm actually making sure it's going to be the best thing it possibly can, it's so cool to be able to do that.
Fantastic. So do we have any fan questions in the audience? Anybody want to know a bit more about anime at all?
For those of you at home, we have a Jedi about to ask me a question.
Hi, I just wanted to know how you felt about the poor attempts to turn manga in particular into live action movies.
So what do I think about attempts to turn them into live action? Personally, I'm all for it. I think it's great. In terms of, well, there's a variety of angles you can go around on this. The first one is, I'm always really, really interested to see what someone, or how someone tries to adapt something into live action. Not even necessarily from an anime perspective or a manga, just in general. Like, look at the comic book movies nowadays. I'm a huge comic book fan.
Absolutely.
Like, massive. It's scary. My iPad, Comixology is my best friend. And it's really cool to see how they translate to the big screen and all the effort they go to, the minor details, the Easter eggs that make me nerd out in the cinema and my friends just give me weird looks. It's always really cool. But then when you look sometimes at anime adaptations into live action, there haven't really been too many examples, but sometimes they work really well, sometimes they don't, and in some ways they can actually impact what comes later. I mean, one that comes to mind is Dragon Ball Evolution, which was a live-action adaptation of the Dragon Ball franchise, which, speaking as a hardcore Dragon Ball Z fan, it wasn't the best. But at the same time, it was really, really cool that they tried to do something with that. One of my favorite parts of the film is the fact that James Masters, who was Spike in Buffy, is the main villain, Piccolo. And if anyone has not seen it, but you know who James Masters is, and imagine him being a green alien, it's quite a trip. But following on from that film, it then actually sparked new Dragon Ball Z films to be made. And this is roughly 20 years or so after the original run had finished on television. So sometimes the live action adaptations can have a positive impact to bring new editions of an anime out there.
A rebirth of sorts.
Exactly.
Any more questions from the audience? Not at the moment, everyone's gone quiet. Well, one thing I wanted to know was when obviously these animes are being translated for English or other audiences, do you feel that there's ever anything lost in translation, or people that speak Japanese and English, do they ever notice something being lost there?
It's a very interesting question, that one, because I honestly can't give you a proper answer to it because I don't speak Japanese. So I could maybe interpret one or two things, like maybe the odd word here and there, and I think, oh, that's what that means. But in actual fact, it turns out because of the way it was said, or maybe a particular syllable was elongated, it actually means totally the opposite thing, and you've just mortally insulted someone. It could be something that ridiculous. So translation is something that is a completely different animal, and everyone who is involved with that process, hats off to them because they do a fantastic job.
Has it ever inspired you to learn Japanese?
I wish I could, but I don't think I could cram any more information into my brain. I might be a giant, but I've got a small brain at times.
Just a couple more questions from us, since we're at Comic-Con. If you were going to cosplay any character, anime or otherwise, who would you choose?
Okay, well, I can answer this from experience. So at MCM Comic-Con, 3 or 4 years ago, I cosplayed as a character from One Piece, which I'm not too sure if there are any One Piece fans out there. It's a character called Kumadori. Now, for those of you who have no idea what the heck I've just said, allow me to paint you a picture. Imagine a giant cat. He's wearing a black suit, a starched green tie, I think it was a bright pink wig with kabuki makeup, and he holds a giant golden lance. That was me for 3 days at MCM in London. It was quite an experience.
Colourful.
I know, right?
And obviously one of the big movies coming out, talking about the comic books, is Batman versus Superman. So if you're going to choose a side, who would you choose?
Oh, Batman. Batman all the way. Batman to me is one of the best DC comic characters. The amount of depth involved, and also in many ways you could compare Bruce Wayne, Batman, to someone from many anime, like in Evangelion, with the amount of emotional distress he goes through. I can sort of relate to that in a weird way. But yeah, Batman all the way.
Brilliant. And so lastly, can you show us and tell us some of the products that you've got, some of the new stuff that might be coming out?
Yeah, sure thing. Well, I mentioned earlier Sword Art Online, and what we have done for our release is we're releasing it over 4 parts second season. So with the first part, it comes in a gorgeous mirrorboard style box, which we're super proud of, and you can fit all 4 parts inside. And that's available now, as is Part 2, which I conveniently have here. And what you get in both Part 1 and 2, you get, like I say, a rigid case around it. There's a digipack inside to hold the DVD and Blu-ray discs, so regardless which format you want, you get both. And that was done at an affordable price to the consumer as possible. We made sure of that because we want everyone to be able to get their hands on this if they want it. And you also get a data book in there filled with information about the show, and we're packing in one of those books with each volume of it. And there will be 4 parts total, and Part 3 is out on the 11th of April.
Brilliant. Well, everyone can check that out at the stores here and also online at alltheanime.com. So thank you very much, and please give it up for Jeremy.
And if I can gate crash your ending there for a little bit, I do have a bit of news I want to share, if that's all right, because there is a new title that we want to make known that we're bringing to the UK later this year. And how many of you have heard of a series called Psychopaths? We're bringing the movie of that to the UK later this year. It follows on directly from... Ooh, did I get cut off there? I don't know. I'm being censored. No, I'm not. Psychopaths 2. I'm just going to lean here. This seems to work better. Psychopaths, the movie, follows on directly from the events of Season 2. Season 1 was released by Manga Entertainment over here. We're releasing the second season in May. And the movie is going to be out probably in the 3rd quarter of the year, this year. So it's not actually that long to wait, and we are delighted that we're bringing this film to the UK because it is fantastic.
Thank you very much for telling us about that. Psychopaths fans will be very happy about that. All right, well, thank you very much. And once again, say thanks to Jeremy.
Cheers, everyone.